Today on the Pipeline Vlog, I took a vacation last week and I went all digital. Last week I took a vacation and I did not bring any print comic books with me. This is a first. I've always brought trade paperbacks, individual issues. Usually, whatever it is I'm behind on reading currently, I'll bring a stack of those things, and if I'm in an airplane, I'll put them in my carry-on bag. I'll have them for the flight, whether it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, God forbid, if you're going across the country. Gives you plenty of time to sit and just read. It's awesome. This time, I didn't bring any of that with me. I tried something new. I just brought the iPad. I'm sure I'm not creating anything new here. I'm sure many of you have done this before, but for me, it was a first. I had a bunch of books from Comixology that I was backed up on reading, so it made a lot of sense just to bring this. Individual comics on Comixology aren't that big, so even though my iPad is a weak, I don't know what it is, 16 gigabyte storage, iPad version 3, the first with the high-def screen, but still like 5 years, 6 years old, and it's kind of slow to tell you the truth, I could fit lots of comic books on there because even with only a gig or two free, Comixology's comics, as high-def as they are still pretty small size-wise, so I fit a bunch on. And as a bonus, this is another great thing about having the iPad, while I was in the hotel one night, I wanted to read a different book. I was able to just download it on the hotel Wi-Fi. I didn't have to go to a comic book store. I didn't have to have anybody ship something to me or anything crazy like that. Not that I've ever done that before on vacation, but I could actually have access to new or different comics or comics I own that I just didn't have downloaded already. So that was pretty cool. In fact, Death of Stalin, which I'll be reviewing in Pipeline Comics sometime this week as this goes live, I'm sure, was the book that I bought and read from the hotel. Now, the problem with that, of course, being you can't purchase through Comixology's app on the iPad, so I had to go out to the website, go to Comixology.com, buy it, put in my credit card information, that kind of stuff, because I hadn't really bought anything on the iPad before. I usually buy it on my desktop at home, and then I could go to the app and it would be there as recently purchased. I could download it. It took a couple minutes or a few minutes, I'm not even sure how long, to be honest, but not that long a time, and I had a 120-page book to read, and it was pretty awesome. So I took the iPad with me. If I were driving somewhere, I might not necessarily go this way. If I was driving, I'd have more room in the car. It would be easy enough to bring a small bag of books and fit those in the trunk somewhere, maybe. Not as big a deal, but you know what? Just going digital worked for me. I was able to read by a low amount of light, because while the rest of the family was sleeping, for the most part, we happened to have a hotel with like a walk-in closet, which had plenty of space to put a chair in and put a light on and sit down and read, and that was comfortable enough. Air conditioning was running, I was fine. But if I needed to keep the light low, the iPad is backlit. It's great. And of course, it being digital comics, the colors look great too. They're more in tune with what the colorist originally created in Photoshop on their computer screen. On my computer screen here, the iPad, they're just as bright. In fact, one of the books, and I forget which one, I did see in print after I had read the iPad version, and yeah, the print version just looks darker, it looks muddier, it doesn't look as bright. And I like being able to see that better on the iPad. And someday I would like to get the iPad 12.9 inch so that I could see it even bigger, because I'm old and the lettering would probably be even easier to read, which would be very cool. Now, I also had a couple of PDFs that publishers had sent me to read. I've been playing around with different PDF reading programs over the years. I've traditionally used Goodreads, Goodreads app, which works for PDFs of regular books. But for comics, often, I'm not sure why, the colors come across really dark and muddy. It's the same PDF I've copied onto the iPad that I was reading on my computer screen at home, but the colors are way different, so it's not good. So I've played with a couple different PDF reading apps, and I forget the one I have now, but it's another free one. But it worked fine. The only problem with it is you kind of have to scroll up the screen. There's no, skip to the next page button on the right side. You have to keep scrolling up, which it's slightly annoying, but it's not the end of the world. This is really a first world problem. Not a big deal. In fact, I think I read the Campbell's Volume 3 that way this past week, and it didn't hurt my enjoyment of the book a bit. I still loved it and still can't wait to review it. Again, on PipelineComics.com, as I've reviewed the first 2 volumes. The only possible problem with this is after you read about 2 albums, after you've sat there with the book in your, or the iPad in your lap, and you've read through 2 50-page plus European albums, the iPad tends to get a little bit hot. So, yeah, pace yourself is what I'm saying. I had some other things to do. I had a crossword puzzle I was working on because I'm old now and that's the kind of thing I enjoy. The New York Times Monday and Tuesday crossword puzzles. You can get books just of those puzzles. It's great. They're the easy ones because they're actually doable. Don't even look at the Friday puzzles. Those things are impossible. But if you want to read comics, if you're going on vacation, this little thing, and I know this is kind of big and it's kind of heavy, people I think, lean in too much to the whole, digital devices needing to be lightweight. I like them a little heavier, a little bigger, a little thicker. It's just easier for me to handle and read from, I think. But I enjoyed it. I'd highly recommend it. Give it a shot next time you're going on vacation, especially if you're going on an airplane, because you only get so much room there and so much weight in your bags. Although, funny enough, I can't remember one time coming home from San Diego Comic-Con where my check-on bag weighed more than 50 pounds because I put all the comic books in it. And so there it was in the middle of the airport, opening it up, taking books out, putting it in my backpack to carry on with me onto the plane so I can get down to 49 pounds. I did it. It's okay. There's no shame in it. I mean, San Diego Airport, Sunday night or Monday morning after San Diego Comic-Con is, fairly forgiving because lots of people there are coming from the same place as you just did. And that's a tangent. So the point is, iPads on vacation, 2 thumbs up. Oh, one other thing also. Don't bring the iPad with you to the beach. I mean, I have a 8-year-old daughter, so it wasn't like I was going to be doing any beach reading anyway, but between the water, the sea spray, the sand, you may not want that to be near your electronic device. It's bad enough when your print comic book gets wet. It's relatively cheap by comparison to replace, so iPads be very careful with. Keep in the beach bag. Keep it back in the hotel room even better.